Captain Lee Hyun was having his morning coffee when the ship's alarm started beeping. The sound echoed through the small bridge of his salvage vessel, the Dawn Runner. Hyun quickly put down his cup and rushed to the control panel. "What's going on?" he asked his communications officer, Kim Mina, who was already scanning the signals. "Sir, we're picking up a distress call," Mina said, her fingers dancing over the keyboard. "It's coming from the asteroid belt about 2 hours away." Hyun frowned. The asteroid belt was dangerous territory. Most ships avoided it because of the floating rocks that could crush a vessel in seconds. "Are you sure it's a real distress call? Could be pirates trying to trick us." Mina shook her head. "No, sir, this signal is different. It's weak and breaking up. Whoever sent it is in real trouble." The captain looked around at his small crew. They were good people, but they weren't soldiers. They made their living collecting scrap metal and broken ship parts. Fighting wasn't their job, but someone out there needed help. "All right, change course. Let's go check it out," Hyun decided. 2 hours later, they found the source of the signal. A strange-looking ship was floating near a large asteroid. The vessel was unlike anything they had seen before. It was sleek and silver, with curved edges that seemed to flow like water. But it was badly damaged. Huge holes were torn in its sides, and sparks were flying from broken parts. "I've never seen a ship like that," whispered Park Jin, the ship's engineer. He was a small, nervous man who knew everything about spacecraft. "The design is completely alien." "Alien?" Hyun raised his eyebrows. "You mean like from another planet?" "Has to be, sir. No human technology looks like that." The crew gathered around the main screen, staring at the mysterious vessel. They had heard stories about aliens, but none of them had ever seen one. Most people thought the stories were just tales to scare children. "Sir, I'm detecting one life sign aboard that ship," reported Dr. Yoon Sora, their medical officer. "But it's very weak. Whoever it is won't last much longer." Hyun thought for a moment. Helping aliens could mean trouble. The government had strict rules about contact with other species, but he couldn't just watch someone die. "Jin, can we dock with their ship?" he asked. The engineer studied his instruments. "Yes, sir, but it's risky. Their ship is damaged and could explode at any moment." "Do it," Hyun ordered. 20 minutes later, Hyun and Dr. Sora were floating through the damaged alien vessel in their spacesuits. The inside was dark and filled with strange-smelling smoke. They followed their scanner toward the life sign, INSI. What looked like the bridge, they found her. The alien was lying on the floor unconscious. She looked almost human, except for the blue scales covering her skin and the strange markings on her face. She was tall and muscular, clearly a warrior of some kind. Blood was pooling beneath her body. "She's lost a lot of blood," Dr. Sora said, through the radio. "If we don't help her soon, she'll die." "Then let's get her back to our ship," Hyun replied. Back on the Dawn Runner, the crew gathered around the medical bay. They watched through the glass window as Dr. Sora worked to save the alien's life. The blue-skinned warrior looked so peaceful, lying there, but her breathing was shallow and weak. "Captain," Park Jin said quietly, "are you sure about this? Helping aliens could get us in serious trouble with the authorities." Hyun looked at his friend. Jin was right to be worried. But as he watched the alien fighter struggle for each breath, he knew he couldn't turn away. "She's someone's daughter, Jin. Maybe someone's sister or friend. I won't let her die just because she's different from us." The first thing Kira noticed when she opened her eyes was the smell. It was clean and sterile, nothing like the smoky, metallic scent of her damaged ship. She tried to sit up, but her body felt heavy and weak. Pain shot through her side where the pirate's weapon had struck her. "Easy there," a gentle voice said. "You're safe now." Kira turned her head and saw a human woman in white clothes standing beside her bed. The woman had kind eyes and was holding some sort of medical device. Kira had heard stories about humans, but she had never seen one up close before. "Where am I?" Kira asked, her voice rough and dry. "You're on the Dawn Runner, a human salvage ship," Dr. Sora explained, checking the monitors around Kira's bed. "We found you floating in space. You were badly hurt." Kira's memories came flooding back. The attack on her ship, her crew members screaming as the pirates boarded, the terrible fight that followed. She was the only one who survived, and barely at that. "My ship?" she asked. "I'm sorry, but it was too damaged to save." Dr. Sora said softly. But you're alive, and that's what matters. Just then, Captain Hyun walked into the medical bay. Kira studied his face carefully. He looked tired but concerned. She had expected humans to be weak and small, but this one seemed strong and confident. "How are you feeling?" Hyun asked, pulling up a chair beside her bed. "I will live," Kira replied, trying to sound stronger than she felt. "But I must know something. Why did you save me?" Hyun looked surprised by the question. "Because you needed help. Anyone would have done the same thing." Kira shook her head. "No, you don't understand. Dr. Sora told me you used your medical supplies. On me. Precious resources that were meant for your own crew. Why would you waste them on a stranger?" "They weren't wasted," Hyun said firmly. "Your life has value." These words hit Kira like a physical blow. In her culture, the Talari, strength was everything. The weak served the strong, and the strong had no obligation to help anyone. But this human had spent valuable resources to save her life, expecting nothing in return. "You have created a sacred debt," Kira said, her voice becoming formal and serious. "In Talari law, when someone saves another's life using their own resources, a bond is formed. I now owe you the right of dominion." "The what?" Hyun asked, looking confused. "I belong to you now," Kira explained. "I must serve you until this debt is repaid. You are my master, and I am your servant. This is the way." Hyun stood up quickly, shaking his head. "No, absolutely not. I don't want a servant, and I definitely don't want to own anyone." Kira stared at him in shock. "But you must claim your right. It is the law. Without this, I have no honor." "Listen to me carefully," Hyun said, sitting back down. "I helped you because it was the right thing to do, not because I wanted something from you. You don't owe me anything." "This makes no sense," Kira said, struggling to understand. "In my world, the strong rule the weak. You saved my life, so you are stronger. I must serve you." "That's not how we do things here," Hyun replied patiently. "Humans believe that all people have equal worth. Your life is just as important as mine." Kira felt dizzy, and not just from her injuries. Everything this human was saying went against everything she had been taught since childhood. How could beings be equal when some were clearly stronger than others? "You are either very wise or very foolish," she said finally. Hyun smiled. "Probably a little of both. But I won't change my mind. You're free to leave whenever you're strong enough. No debts, no servitude." As Hyun left the medical bay, Kira lay back on her pillow, more confused than she had ever been in her life. This human had just refused power over her when it was freely offered. Such a thing was impossible in Talari society. Maybe humans were more mysterious than she had thought. 3 days had passed since Kira woke up, and she was driving the entire crew crazy. Despite Captain Hyun's repeated protests, she refused to accept that she was free. Every morning she would limp to his quarters and start cleaning, even though her wounds were still healing. "Captain, she's doing it again," Park Jin said, shaking his head as he watched Kira scrubbing the floor outside Hyun's room. "I tried to stop her, but she just growled at me." Hyun sighed and walked over to where Kira was working. She was on her hands and knees, carefully wiping every corner of the metal floor. Her blue scales were still pale from her injuries, but she pushed herself to work anyway. "Kira, please stop," Hyun said gently. "You need to rest and heal." Kira looked up at him with fierce determination in her eyes. "A debt servant who rests while her master works has no honor. I will clean your ship and prepare your food. This is my duty." "I keep telling you I'm not your master," Hyun said, feeling frustrated. "You don't have to do any of this." "Then what am I supposed to do?" Kira snapped, getting to her feet despite the pain in her side. "In Talari society, everyone has a place. The strong lead, the weak follow. You saved my life, which makes you stronger than me. If I don't serve you, then what is my purpose?" Before Hyun could answer, Kim Mina walked up to them. She had been watching this argument for days and decided it was time to help. "Maybe I can explain," Mina said with a friendly smile. "Kira, can we talk?" Kira looked suspicious. What could a human female want to say to me? "Just give me 5 minutes," Mina said, leading Kira to the ship's small dining area. "Tell me about your home planet. What was your job there? I was a warrior, Kira said proudly. I fought in battles and protected the weak. It was an honor to serve the strong leaders of my people. And the people you protected, were they grateful? Mina asked. Of course not, Kira replied, looking confused by the question. They were weak. It was simply my duty to protect them because I was stronger, Mina nodded thoughtfully. On Earth, we see things differently. We believe that everyone has something valuable to offer, not just the physically strong. That's ridiculous, Kira said, crossing her arms. How can a weak person be valuable? Well, let me ask you something, Mina said. Who built your warrior? Weapons? Who grew the food you ate? Who taught you how to fight? Kira frowned. The weapon makers, the farmers, the trainers, but they were just doing their jobs. Exactly, Mina said. Without them, you couldn't be a warrior. They weren't weak. They were skilled in different ways. We need each other. You're trying to confuse me, Kira said angrily. This is some kind of human trick. No trick, Mina said calmly. Look around this ship. Captain Hyun leads us, but he couldn't run this ship alone. Park Jin fixes our engines. Dr. Sora keeps us healthy. I handle communications. We're all important. Kira stood up abruptly. You mock me with these words. Strength is everything. The weak exist to serve the strong. This is natural law. But if that's true, Mina said quietly, then why did your strong leaders let you get hurt? Why didn't they come to save you? The question hit Kira like a physical blow. She had been wondering the same thing for days. Where was her rescue? Why had no Talari ships come looking for survivors? They had more important things to do, Kira said, but her voice lacked conviction. Or maybe, Mina suggested gently, they didn't think you were worth saving. Kira's eyes flashed with anger. How dare you? I'm sorry, Mina said quickly. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm just trying to show you that Captain Hyun saved you because he thought you were worth saving. Not because you were strong or weak, but because you're a person. Kira stormed out of the dining area, but Mina's words followed her. She spent the rest of the day in the small guest room they had given her, thinking about everything she had been told. That evening she emerged and went straight to Captain Hyun's quarters. She found him reading reports at his desk. I still don't understand your ways, she said quietly, but I will try to learn them. Hyun looked up and smiled. That's all anyone can ask for. But even as she said the words, Kira couldn't shake the feeling that everything she had believed about the world was wrong, and that scared her more than any battle she had ever fought. The alarm started screaming at 3 in the morning, jolting everyone awake. Kira rolled out of her bed, her warrior instincts kicking in immediately. She could hear running footsteps in the hallway and urgent voices over the ship's communication system. All crew to battle stations, Captain Hyun's voice echoed through the ship. We have hostile vessels approaching fast. Kira rushed to the bridge, where she found the crew frantically working at their stations. Through the main window she could see 3 dark ships moving toward them like hungry wolves. Pirates, Park Jin said grimly, his fingers flying over the engine controls. They must have been waiting for us to leave the asteroid field. Can we outrun them? Hyun asked, taking his place in the captain's chair. Not a chance, Kim Mina replied from the communications station. They're military-grade fighters. We're just a salvage ship. Kira felt her blood boil. She knew about pirates. They were the ones who had destroyed her ship and killed her crew. These might even be the same ones. Let me fight, she said, stepping forward. I'm a trained warrior. You're still injured, Hyun replied, not taking his eyes off the approaching ships. And we don't have weapons suited for someone your size. The first blast hit their ship's side, sending everyone stumbling. The lights flickered, and sparks flew from damaged panels. The Dawnrunner shook like a leaf in a storm. Shields down to 60%. Park Jin shouted over the noise. Another blast, stronger this time. The ship groaned as metal bent and twisted. Kira could smell smoke and burning electronics. They're trying to disable us, not destroy us, Hyun realized. They want to board the ship. What do they want? Dr. Sora asked, gripping her medical kit tightly. Probably our cargo and maybe us too, Hyun said darkly. Pirates make good money selling people as slaves. The word slaves made Kira's scales turn darker with rage. She had seen what pirates did to their captives. It was worse than death, A third blast hit them directly on the bridge. The main screen exploded in a shower of sparks and glass. Everyone dove for cover, but Kira was caught in the open. She saw the deadly pieces of metal and glass flying straight toward her. Suddenly, Captain Hyun threw himself in front of her, his arms spread wide to shield her body. A large piece of burning metal struck him in the shoulder, spinning him around and sending him crashing to the floor. "Captain!" Dr. Sora screamed, rushing to his side. Kira stared in shock as blood pooled beneath Hyun's still form. The man who had refused to be her master had just risked his life to protect her. "Why?" she whispered, kneeling beside him as Dr. Sora worked to stop the bleeding. The battle continued around them. Park Jin managed to get the engines working at full power, and they began to pull away from the pirate ships. Kim Mina sent out emergency calls for help, but all Kira could focus on was the injured captain. 2 hours later, the pirates had given up the chase, and Dr. Sora had patched up Hyun's shoulder. He was conscious but weak, lying in the medical bay with his arm in a sling. Kira sat beside his bed, her mind spinning with confusion and questions. "You saved me again," she said quietly. "Anyone would have done the same," Hyun replied, though his voice was strained with pain. "No," Kira said firmly. "In my world, masters don't risk themselves for their servants. If I had died, you would have been free of your annoying debt servant. Why didn't you let me take the hit?" Hyun turned to look at her directly. "Because your life matters, Kira. It's not about strong or weak, master or servant. You're a person, and every person deserves to live." "But I'm just a warrior," Kira protested. "I have no special skills like your crew. I can't fix engines or heal people or pilot ships." "You have courage," Hyun said simply. "You have honor, even if you express it differently than we do. You care about doing the right thing. Those aren't small qualities." Kira felt something strange happening inside her chest, a warm feeling she didn't recognize. "I don't understand you humans," she said softly. Hyun smiled despite his pain. "That's okay. I don't always understand us either. But maybe that's what makes life interesting." For the first time since waking up on the human ship, Kira began to wonder if maybe there was more to strength than just physical power. The massive shadow fell across the Dawn Runner like a dark cloud blocking the sun. Kira looked up from the book she was reading in the ship's small library and felt her blood turn cold. Through the window she could see the unmistakable shape of a Talari war cruiser, its black hull bristling with weapons. "Captain Hyun to the bridge immediately," Kim Mina's urgent voice echoed through the ship's speakers. Kira dropped her book and ran toward the bridge, her heart pounding. She knew that ship design well. It was the Shadow Blade, flagship of War Commander Vrex, her former commanding officer. The man who had trained her to be a warrior was now hunting her down. On the bridge, the entire crew was staring at the enormous vessel that dwarfed their little salvage ship. Captain Hyun was standing at the main console, his face grim. "Incoming transmission," Kim Mina announced, her voice shaking slightly. The main screen flickered to life, showing the familiar face of War Commander Vrex. He was tall and imposing, his blue scales darker than Kira's, marked with the ritual scars of a veteran warrior. His yellow eyes scanned the human bridge with disgust. "Humans," he said, his voice deep and commanding. "I am War Commander Vrex of the Talari Empire. You are harboring stolen property that belongs to my people. Captain." Hyun stepped forward, trying to look calm despite being massively outgunned. "I'm Captain Lee Hyun of the salvage vessel Dawn Runner. We haven't stolen anything from your people." Vrex's eyes narrowed. "You have taken warrior Kira from her destroyed vessel. By Talari law, she belongs to whoever claims salvage rights. You had no authority to take her." "We saved her life," Hyun replied firmly. "She was dying when we found her." "That changes nothing," Vrex snapped. "She is Talari property. You will return her immediately, along with compensation for the trouble you have caused." Kira stepped into view of the camera, and Vrex's expression shifted to one of cold anger. "Kira," he said, his voice like ice, "you have brought shame upon our people by allowing these weak humans to claim you. Have you forgotten everything I taught you about honor?" "War Commander," Kira said, trying to keep her voice steady. "These Humans saved my life when no Talari ship came to rescue me. Rescue? Vrex laughed harshly. You were on a routine patrol. When your ship was destroyed, we assumed you had died with honor in battle. The fact that you survived by accepting help from inferior beings shows your weakness. The words hit Kira like physical blows. In Talari culture, accepting help was seen as shameful. Warriors were supposed to die fighting rather than be saved by others. The humans showed me kindness, Kira said quietly. Kindness is for the weak, Vrex replied. You have 24 hours to return to your people and face judgment for your dishonor. The humans who corrupted you will also be punished for their interference. What kind of punishment? Captain Hyun asked, though Kira could. Telly already suspected the answer. Death, Vrex said simply. It is the penalty for stealing Talari property and filling a warrior's mind with poison ideas about equality and weakness. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in heavy silence. Kira felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her. She had brought this danger to the people who had saved her life. I have to go back, she said finally. If I don't, he'll destroy your ship and kill all of you. No, Captain Hyun said firmly. We don't abandon our friends. Friends? Kira looked at him in surprise. But I'm just a burden to you. I've caused nothing but problems since you found me. Park Jin spoke up from his station. You're part of this crew now, Kira. We don't leave family behind. Dr. Sora nodded in agreement. You helped me organize the medical supplies last week. You've been teaching Kim Mina how to fight. You're not a burden. Kira felt that strange warm feeling in her chest again. These humans were willing to die rather than hand her over to Vrex. In Talari society, only blood relatives would make such a sacrifice. War Commander Vrex trained me from childhood, she said slowly. He taught me that strength is everything, that the weak deserve to suffer. But you humans, you've shown me something different. What's that? Captain Hyun asked, gently. That maybe real strength isn't about who can hurt others the most, Kira said, her voice growing stronger. Maybe it's about who's willing to help others, even when it costs them something. She looked around at the faces of the crew, these humans who had accepted her despite her differences. I won't go back, she declared. But I also won't let you. Die for me. There has to be another way. Captain Hyun smiled despite the massive warship hanging over them like a sword. Then we'd better figure it out fast, he said. Because tomorrow we're going to have to face the most powerful warrior in the Talari fleet. The night felt endless aboard the Dawn Runner. While the rest of the crew tried to sleep before facing the Talari fleet, Kira found herself wandering the ship's quiet corridors. Her mind was spinning with thoughts and fears she couldn't shake off. She found Oh Subin in the ship's small workshop, carefully repairing a damaged circuit board under a bright lamp. Sabin was the youngest member of the crew, barely 20 years old, but her skills with electronics were amazing. She could fix almost anything that broke on the ship. Can't sleep either? Subin asked without looking up from her work. Kira sat, down on a nearby stool, watching the young woman's steady hands. How can you be so calm? Tomorrow we might all die because of me. Subin finally looked up, her eyes kind but tired. We're not going to die. Captain Hyun always finds a way. You have so much faith in him, Kira said. In my world, leaders are followed because they're the strongest. But your captain, he's not the biggest or the fastest on this ship. No, Subin agreed with a small smile. But he's the one who cares the most about all of us. That makes him strong in a different way. Kira was quiet for a moment, then spoke softly. War Commander Vrex always told me I was weak. Even though I could fight better than most warriors, he said I thought too much, felt too much. He said those were weaknesses that would get me killed. Thinking and feeling are weaknesses, Subin asked, sounding surprised. That seems backwards. To me. That's what I was taught, Kira said, her voice heavy with old pain. Strong warriors don't question orders. They don't worry about protecting the innocent. They just fight and win no matter the cost. Subin set down her tools and turned to face Kira completely. Can I tell you about my family? Kira nodded, curious about where this was going. My grandmother lived with us when I was growing up. Subin began. She was tiny and frail. She couldn't lift heavy things or walk very far without getting tired. By your people's standards, she would have been considered weak. What happened to her? Kira asked. She taught me everything I know about fixing things, Subin said with a warm smile. She could look at a broken machine and understand exactly what was wrong with it. She was patient and wise. When I was scared or confused, she always knew the right words to say. Kira listened carefully, trying to understand. And my brother Jihoon, Subin continued, he's gentle and quiet. He works as a teacher on Earth, helping children learn to read. He's never been in a fight in his life. Some people might think that makes him weak too. But you don't think so, Kira said. Of course not, Subin replied firmly. He's one of the strongest people I know. It takes courage to be gentle in a harsh world. It takes strength to teach children who don't want to learn, to be patient when others are difficult. These words made Kira think about all the times War Commander Vrex had criticized her. He had always punished her for showing mercy to defeated enemies, for questioning strategies that would harm innocent people. I used to sneak food to prisoners when I thought no one was watching, Kira admitted quietly. Vrex caught me once and made me go without meals for a week. He said compassion was a disease that would make me useless as a warrior. That's terrible, Subin said, anger flashing in her eyes. Compassion isn't a disease. It's what makes us human. Well, you're not human, but you know what I mean. Kira almost smiled at that. I think I'm beginning to understand. You humans value different kinds of strength. Exactly, Subin said, picking up her tools again. Dr. Sora heals people. Kim Mina helps us communicate across the galaxy. Park Jin keeps our ship running. Captain Hyun brings out the best in all of us. None of them are warriors, but they're all incredibly strong. And you fix the things that keep us alive, Kira added. Right, Subin said, looking pleased. We all contribute. Something important. That's what makes a good crew, a good family. Kira felt something shifting inside her mind, like puzzle pieces finally clicking into place. Maybe War Commander Vrex was wrong about me. Maybe the things he called weaknesses were actually strengths. What do you think? Subin asked gently. Kira thought about all the times she had protected civilians during battles, all the moments when she had chosen mercy over violence. She had been punished for those choices, told they made her a poor warrior. I think, Kira said slowly, that I was never weak at all. I was just different from what they wanted me to be. And being different isn't a bad thing, Subin added. No, Kira agreed, feeling stronger than she had in years. It's not. For the first time since the Talari fleet had arrived, Kira felt hope. Maybe she didn't have to choose between her old life and her new one. Maybe she could create something entirely different. Thank you, Subin, she said quietly. For what? For helping me see myself the way you humans see me, not as a failed warrior, but as something better. Subin smiled brightly. That's what friends do. The next morning came too quickly. Kira stood in the Dawn Runner's main cargo bay wearing her old Talari warrior armor that Dr. Sora had carefully cleaned and repaired. The blue metal gleamed under the ship's lights, but it felt heavy and strange now, like wearing clothes that no longer fit. Captain Hyun and his crew stood behind her, ready to face whatever came next. Through the cargo bay's large window, they could see the Talari shuttle approaching their ship. War Commander Vrex was coming to collect what he believed was his property. You don't have to do this, Captain Hyun said quietly to Kira. We can still try to run, Kira shook her head. No more running. No more. It's time to face the truth. The shuttle docked with a loud clang of metal against metal. The airlock hissed open, and War Commander Vrex stepped through, followed by 6 Talari warriors in full battle armor. Their presence filled the cargo bay with an aura of cold authority. Vrex looked exactly as Kira remembered him, tall, intimidating, with scars across his dark blue scales that told stories of countless battles. His yellow eyes swept over the human crew with obvious disgust before settling on Kira. Warrior Kira, he said, his voice echoing in the metal space. You look well for someone who was supposed to be dead. War Commander, Kira replied, standing, straight but not bowing as she once would have. Vrex noticed the missing bow immediately. His eyes narrowed dangerously. Have these humans made you forget your manners along with your duty? They've taught me many things, Kira said calmly, including that respect should be earned, not demanded through fear. One of the younger warriors behind Vrex shifted uncomfortably at these words. Kira noticed it was Szeth, a warrior she had trained with years ago. He was watching her with curious eyes. "Enough of this nonsense," Vrex snapped. "You will return with us immediately. Your time among these inferior beings has clearly damaged your mind, but our healers can fix that." "I'm not going back," Kira said firmly. The silence that followed was thick with tension. Vrex's hand moved to his weapon, and the other Talari. Warriors tensed, ready for a fight. "You dare refuse a direct order?" Vrex's voice was deadly quiet. "I refuse to live as a slave to old ideas that no longer make sense to me," Kira replied. She stepped forward, her voice growing stronger. "You taught me that the strong rule the weak, that mercy is weakness, that questioning orders is shameful. But these humans showed me a different way." She gestured to Captain Hyun and his crew. "When they found me dying, they used their precious medical supplies to save a complete stranger. They asked for nothing in return. They treated me as an equal, not as property to be owned." "They made you weak," Vrex snarled. "No," Kira said, her voice ringing with newfound confidence. "They made me strong. Real strength isn't about dominating others. It's about lifting them up, protecting them, choosing to do what's right even when it's difficult." Young warrior Szeth took a small step forward. "Kira, what are you saying?" Kira turned to address all the Talari warriors, not just Vrex. "I'm saying that Captain Hyun has already claimed his right over me. Not the right to own me, but the right to show me what freedom truly means. He freed me from the chains of believing I was only worth what I could do for others." "Traitor!" Vrex roared, drawing his weapon. "You betray everything our people stand for." "I betray a system that values only strength and punishes compassion," Kira shot back. "Look at us, Vrex. We're warriors, trained to fight and die for leaders, who see us as tools, not people. When was the last time you asked what we wanted? When did you last care about our dreams or fears?" Several of the younger warriors exchanged glances. Kira could see doubt creeping into their eyes. These humans risk their lives for each other, not because they're ordered to, but because they choose to. They value each person's unique gifts. They've never asked me to be less than I am. They've helped me become more. War Commander Vrex raised his weapon, pointing it directly at Captain Hyun. "Then you can watch your precious human friends die for their interference." "Wait," said Warrior Szeth, stepping between Vrex and the humans. "War Commander, maybe we should listen to what she's saying." "Stand down, warrior," Vrex commanded, but Szeth didn't move. "I've been wondering lately why we fight so much, why we're never allowed to question anything. Maybe Kira is right, maybe there's a better way." Two other young warriors moved to stand beside Szeth. Vrex looked around in shock as his own soldiers began to doubt his authority. "I choose to stay with people who see me as family, not property," Kira declared. "I choose kindness over cruelty, understanding over blind obedience." The cargo bay fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Vrex looked at his warriors, then at Kira, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. "This isn't over," he said finally, backing toward the airlock. "The Talari Empire will not forget this betrayal." As the Talari shuttle departed, Kira felt lighter than she had in years. She had chosen her path, and for the first time in her life it was truly her own choice. The next morning came too quickly. Kira stood in the Dawn Runner's main cargo bay, wearing her old Talari warrior armor that Dr. Sora had carefully cleaned and repaired. The blue metal gleamed under the ship's lights, but it felt heavy and strange now, like wearing clothes that no longer fit. Captain Hyun and his crew stood behind her, ready to face whatever came next. Through the cargo bay's large window, they could see the Talari shuttle approaching their ship. War Commander Vrex was coming to collect what he believed was his property. "You don't have to do this," Captain Hyun said quietly to Kira. "We can still try to run," Kira shook her head. "No more running. No more. It's time to face the truth." The shuttle docked with a loud clang of metal against metal. The airlock hissed open, and War Commander Vrex stepped through, followed by 6 Talari warriors in full battle armor. Their presence filled the cargo bay with an aura of cold authority. Vrex looked exactly as Kira remembered him, tall, intimidating, with scars across his dark blue scales that told stories of countless battles. His yellow eyes swept over the human crew with obvious disgust before settling on Kira. "Warrior Kira," he said, his voice echoing in the metal space. You look well for someone who was supposed to be dead. War Commander, Kira replied, standing straight but not bowing as she once would have. Vrex noticed the missing bow immediately. His eyes narrowed dangerously. Have these humans made you forget your manners along with your duty? They've taught me many things, Kira said calmly, including that respect should be earned, not demanded through fear. One of the younger warriors behind Vrex shifted uncomfortably at these words. Kira noticed it was Szeth, a warrior she had trained with years ago. He was watching her with curious eyes. Enough of this nonsense, Vrex snapped. You will return with us immediately. Your time among these inferior beings has clearly damaged your mind, but our healers can fix that. I'm not going back, Kira said firmly. The silence that followed was thick with tension. Vrex's hand moved to his weapon, and the other Talari. Warriors tensed, ready for a fight. You dare refuse a direct order? Vrex's voice was deadly quiet. I refuse to live as a slave to old ideas that no longer make sense to me, Kira replied. She stepped forward, her voice growing stronger. You taught me that the strong rule the weak, that mercy is weakness, that questioning orders is shameful. But these humans showed me a different way. She gestured to Captain Hyun and his crew. When they found me dying, they used their precious medical supplies to save a complete stranger. They asked for nothing in return. They treated me as an equal, not as property to be owned. They made you weak, Vrex snarled. No, Kira said, her voice ringing with newfound confidence. They made me strong. Real strength isn't about dominating others. It's about lifting them up, protecting them, choosing to do what's right even when it's difficult. Young warrior Szeth took a small step forward. Kira, what are you saying? Kira turned to address all the Talari warriors, not just Vrex. I'm saying that Captain Hyun has already claimed his right over me. Not the right to own me, but the right to show me what freedom truly means. He freed me from the chains of believing I was only worth what I could do for others. Traitor! Vrex roared, drawing his weapon. You betray everything our people stand for. I betray a system that values only strength and punishes compassion, Kira shot back. Look at us, Vrex. We're warriors, trained to fight and die for leaders, who see us as tools, not people. When was the last time you asked what we wanted? When did you last care about our dreams or fears? Several of the younger warriors exchanged glances. Kira could see doubt creeping into their eyes. These humans risk their lives for each other, not because they're ordered to, but because they choose to. They value each person's unique gifts. They've never asked me to be less than I am. They've helped me become more. War Commander Vrex raised his weapon, pointing it directly at Captain Hyun. Then you can watch your precious human friends die for their interference. Wait, said Warrior Szeth, stepping between Vrex and the humans. War Commander, maybe we should listen to what she's saying. Stand down, warrior, Vrex commanded, but Szeth didn't move. I've been wondering lately why we fight so much, why we're never allowed to question anything. Maybe Kira is right, maybe there's a better way. Two other young warriors moved to stand beside Szeth. Vrex looked around in shock as his own soldiers began to doubt his authority. I choose to stay with people who see me as family, not property, Kira declared. I choose kindness over cruelty, understanding over blind obedience. The cargo bay fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Vrex looked at his warriors, then at Kira, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. This isn't over, he said finally, backing toward the airlock. The Talari Empire will not forget this betrayal. As the Talari shuttle departed, Kira felt lighter than she had in years. She had chosen her path, and for the first time in her life it was truly her own choice. 6 months later, Captain Hyun stood on the bridge of the Dawn Runner, watching something he never thought he'd see. Through the main window, dozens of ships floated peacefully in space, human vessels alongside alien craft from 6 different species. It looked like the galaxy's strangest family reunion. Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council, Kim Mina announced from her station. The main screen flickered to life, showing Ambassador Chen Wei, Earth's representative to the Council. She looked tired but excited. Captain Hyun, I have news, she said with a broad smile. The Council has officially recognized the Dawn Runner as a diplomatic vessel. Congratulations, you're now Earth's newest ambassadors. Hyun shook his head in amazement. 6 months ago, we were just a salvage crew. Now we're diplomats? It's all because of Kira's speech, Ambassador Chen explained. When that recording spread across the galaxy, everything changed. The recording she mentioned had been an accident. During the confrontation with War Commander Vrex, Kim Mina had been sending out a distress signal. She hadn't realized that Kira's words about freedom and equality were being broadcast to every ship within range. Those ships had passed the message along, and soon beings across the galaxy were hearing about the human concepts of dignity and choice. Where is Kira now? Ambassador, Chen asked. She's in the cargo bay training some new arrivals, Hyun replied. Down in the cargo bay, Kira was indeed training, but not in the way she used to. Instead of teaching young warriors how to dominate their enemies, she was showing them how to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Her students today were 3 young Talari who had abandoned their military posts to join what people were calling the Freedom Movement. They watched in fascination as Kira demonstrated defensive fighting techniques. Remember, Kira said, easily blocking an attack from one of her students, a true warrior's strength comes from knowing when not to fight, not from how many enemies you can defeat. One of the young Talari, a female named Vera, raised her hand. But Instructor Kira, what if someone tries to hurt innocent people? Don't we have a duty to stop them? Absolutely, Kira replied. But we stop them to protect others, not to prove our own power. The moment you fight for your own glory instead of others' safety, you become the very thing we're fighting against. These lessons were being broadcast across space too, reaching Talari worlds where young warriors were beginning to question their training. On the planet Talara Prime, military academies were reporting that students were refusing orders and asking uncomfortable questions about why they fought. War Commander Vrex had tried to stop the rebellion, but it was too late. When he ordered his troops to attack peaceful protesters, half of his own warriors had refused to obey. The Talari Empire was slowly but surely falling apart, but it wasn't just the Talari who were changing. On distant worlds, other species were also embracing these human ideas. The slave-owning hegemony was facing massive uprisings as their workers demanded freedom. The rigid caste system of the Crystalline Empire was cracking as lower-class citizens refused to accept their proper place in society. Kira, came Captain Hyun's voice over the intercom. We need you on the bridge. We have visitors. Kira made her way to the bridge, where she found the crew watching 3 sleek ships approaching. She recognized the design immediately. They were Talari vessels, but they flew new flags she had never seen before. They're calling themselves the Free Talari Coalition, Kim Mina reported. They want to talk. The lead ship's captain appeared on the main screen. It was Zeth, the young warrior who had stood up to Vrex in the cargo bay months ago. But he looked different now, calmer, more confident. Greetings, Dawn Runner, he said formally. I bring greetings from the Free Talari Coalition and a request. What kind of request? Captain Hyun asked. We want to learn, Zeth replied simply. We want to understand these human ways of living together in peace. Will you teach us? Kira stepped forward, visible to the camera. Of course, old friend. But first, you need to understand something important. What's that? Zeth asked. These aren't just human ways, Kira explained. Humans didn't invent kindness or equality, or the idea that every life has value. They just chose to build their society around these ideas, instead of around fear and domination. She looked around at the bridge crew, these humans who had changed her life simply by treating her with respect. Any species can make this choice, she continued. The only question is whether we're brave enough to do it. As more ships arrived each day, refugees from oppressive worlds, young beings seeking a different way to live, former soldiers who had laid down their weapons, Kira realized that something beautiful was happening. The galaxy was slowly learning what she had discovered on a small human salvage ship, that true strength comes not from the power to hurt others, but from the courage to help them. Standing on the bridge of the Dawn Runner, surrounded by friends from a dozen different worlds, Kira finally understood what Captain Hyun had tried to tell her that first day. Every life did have value, including her own, and that, she thought with a smile, was the most revolutionary idea of all. The word friends. still felt strange to Kira, but she was beginning to like the sound of it.